John and Judy, they were visionaries. They are just the Renaissance couple. They are people who changed the world and didn't really realize it, that they changed the world. They created an event that has changed countless lives. And early on, it was really important to them that this isn't just about elite athletes, but we also want people who might be dealing with a challenge of some sort, but want to change their perception of themselves through this event. This event was always meant to do that. So John and Judy split their time between Panama and deciding to start a triathlon down there and in Coronado. I see them every 4th of July. They still come to Coronado every summer, and they do Judy does, and sometimes John, but always Judy, she does the Coronado Rough Water Swim. And then they still do trips up the West Coast. They're constantly on the move. Tommy was just one of those novel athletes that, you know, when the conditions got really tough, it brings a different type of athlete to the front. If you look at that year in '79, the tougher the conditions, the more it pointed to Tommy Warren. He was just one of the toughest athletes ever, but also very unique. To this day, he doesn't have email, he doesn't text, he just has his phone. Tommy has been retired forever. He owns properties all over Pacific Beach here in San Diego. And he rides his bike. He'll call me and tell me he just rode, 500 miles into Mexico. And Tommy built by hand, he built this beautiful house out in Cuyamaca, California. A very unique individual, one of the brightest guys I've ever met, and one of the toughest athletes I've ever met. Gordon Haller was really a pro triathlete before there was a pro triathlete. He sent me his training log leading into that first Ironman win, and in that training log, he had run a 2:27 marathon about a month before, and he knew Reynolds tubing back in 1978. So he knew what he was doing, and he was an amazing athlete who was successful all over the world at the Ironman distance. One of the brightest guys in the sport. He works for Walmart, and he's based down in Fayetteville, and he's in computers, and he's been there forever and ever. When you look at the history of the Ironman, I think the most important woman in our history is Valerie Silk. She knew she couldn't put the event on Oahu again, right? Can't block off any roads, can't get permits to block off Waikiki. This whole idea of having people following you in vans isn't sustainable. So she went to the different islands, and she went to the Big Island. And what Val started doing right away, personalized birthday cards to everybody who did the race. Thank you so much for participating. She was at the finish line, putting leis around everybody's neck. She was the mother of Ironman. Throughout the 80s, Valerie Silk was the person who took our event to a level we never would have reached on our own. She knew she had to incorporate Hawaiian culture. She knew that she had to make this event special, and she did. She was the most important woman to ever become part of our sport. So Valerie Silk ended up moving to Florida to take care of her aging parents. And now she's doing that with other people. She's a caregiver. And it's such a perfect job for her that she took great care of this amazing sport and this amazing brand called Ironman. Chrissy Wellington, she recognized very quickly that winning this race gave her a platform to talk to young girls and tell them that nothing should hold you back, that you can do anything. She was so far ahead of her time. It wasn't just about winning the race. It was changing perceptions. It was changing people's impressions of little girls and what they can do, and never limiting yourself. 2011, getting absolutely everything out of her body and winning by 2 minutes. She knew there was absolutely no reason to come back. It was the mic drop. So she retired. She won all 4 Ironman World Championship events she went to. She won 13 Ironman distance events around the world. She dominated triathlon, but she did more. She dominated life. It was all about what's the next adventure. And when you look at what's happened in UK with these park run events, so Chrissy's never stopped giving back. She's a mom and somebody who's changing lives every day through the park run series. The Ironman means so much to all of us. It's been, a huge part of my life. If you look around my house, there are very few things that aren't connected to the Ironman Triathlon World Championship. So getting inducted was one of the high points of my life because it told me that I'd made a difference, in an event that made a huge difference in my life.